Hiya, you alright? My name is Silver, and welcome back to School of Dragons. I am here today with Toothless, and we are going to talk a little bit about him. I recently made a video showcasing the new skin that he has gotten for Dreadfall, and a lot of people were agreeing that Toothless is way overdue for an update. Toothless was released at the very beginning of the game, which was around, if I'm not mistaken, 2012? Could have been. I started playing in 2014, which is a tremendously long time ago, so he is terribly outdated. And in this video, we're going to take a look at him, and we're going to look at some of the problem areas and why I think he needs both a new model and new animations. And then we're gonna pray to the gods that School of Dragons will listen. So here's Toothless in all his glory. The first problem that I'm gonna address is the wings. Toothless holds his wings up and out. No dragon could rest his wings in this position comfortably. His bones look extremely exhausted and just in a terrible broken position even when he's standing still. They are way up too high and way out from the body compared to anything that Toothless would actually do in what was in the movies and in the TV series. So for the time when he was released, this was fine. People wouldn't really point it out. But now we've gotten so many new dragons, and we know the School of Dragons is capable of making excellent wings in a resting position. We should definitely take a look at that. And it is a shame that they look like this, because it just looks ridiculous at this point, really. I kind of gotten used to it, but then when you really take a look at it, you get reminded that that's not really, that's not so good. That's not so good at all. Then the second thing I'm going to talk about are the ears. These ears are almost paper thin. They're really thin ears, and their shape is very pointy, almost like a horse ear, where Toothless ears are more wide and rounded off. And these just don't look like that at all. And it's really only the two main ones that are moving. Not that the small ones necessarily should be moving, but they should at least have more mass, because they are not looking like actual ears. They're just looking like paper that has been kind of attached to him. His face is also quite expressionless, and the overall shape of it, I suppose, is fine, but it lacks expression and it lacks a bit of texture. We can really see where the kind of like bumps stand out on the ears and behind his eyes. These should be way more streamlined and way more smooth, like we've seen on the actual Toothless model that was used in the movies. Not that we should have that standard at all, that's not what I'm saying at all, but we've just seen newer models do similar things, so I know that School of Dragons are capable of actually doing this. Now, one of the absolutely worst things about this dragon's head is the fact that he has a tooth in the middle of his mouth. He has a centered tooth. And you can see it every time he opens his mouth, to just doing this little like chewing motion, and when he shoots, and whenever he has his mouth open, you can see that teeth right there in the middle of his face. His teeth are quite bad on this model. They are very bad, and they are way overdue for an upkeep. His legs are somewhat fine, I think. Again, we have the same issue with the texture. It looks a bit rough with the bumps, but the overall shape of the legs and how the claws look is fine. I wouldn't be too mad if this was what it was gonna be for eternity. It's not the worst part of him. The claws could be a little sharper and more defined in texture, but it's not at all the worst part of him. His tail could also really use some work, because again we have the old logo and it's facing the wrong direction. The jaw should be facing out in the back, towards the back. And if you want to keep him like really up to date, then I suppose he should even have the black tail fin, or it should be an option to change his tail fins, something that a lot of players have also suggested. But at least update the red ones so that it's facing the right way, and maybe it doesn't look as rough, because it looks really rough, and I think there's even some texture that's missing from the shape. You can see it's kind of like more red at the tip of it. I don't think that's supposed to be happening. I think it's because it's mirrored from the other tail fin, but this tail fin should really have a different shape because it's the prosthetic one. So it could really use some work there. And there's also small like balls at the end of the metal construction of the actual tail fin that kind of closes off the ends of it, where here there's just like, it's just the tail fin. And that is a small detail that I wouldn't necessarily require, but the overall shape and the actual logo and the type of tail it should definitely be different. And that would be a nice way for School Dragons to make it interesting to get Toothless and to have a new model. Have like 5 different tails that you can buy and change between. Make them cost 100 gems each. That's a great idea, and it should be fairly easy to do. And then you can just switch the tail fins out and then make it a fun interactive thing to kind of celebrate if Toothless did get a new model. His overall body shape is lagging some length to it. And I do believe that Toothless is slightly taller than this. Toothless did change through the years, so this model might be more similar to the Toothless from the first movie body-wise. But if we're looking at the hidden world, Toothless looks a lot different now. He has more of the posture of a dog, like a wolf maybe, because his legs are a lot longer and he has a stronger chest and a longer body that is more proportionate. Where here we have a very small hip section and a very strong chest. Toothless has much more muscle and it's different proportioned in the updated and older version of Toothless because he grew up. So that will also be something that will be quite important to do, so he actually looks like an older Toothless, because the story has moved on in the game as well, so it's supposed to take place in the hidden world and with the hidden world, so Toothless would need to age for it to make sense. Again, with the tail fin as well, there's also a thing that could be updated. As far as the animation goes, they are quite rough because Toothless just kind of jumps forward, sprints forward. When he turns, it's very stiff. The wings are really far out as well, and the small legs are moving. I think this is not the worst animation, but the running forward is very clunky and very strained. I don't think it looks that good. He's just jumping around very spastically. We could definitely have a cooler Toothless running animation going on. Again, it's based on the first movie, where maybe he runs through the woods, that one scene of the first movie, and then this movement could make sense. But again, we've gotten so much more information on how Toothless locomotion actually works and how he moves around. So it's definitely overdue for a fix-up, because it's very rough and very stiff. Not that fluent at all. I could see them making a really cool running animation for him, which he definitely needs. Now, the worst thing in all of this, in my opinion, is the flying. And that is because Toothless' legs hang out so ridiculously. They just look limp in the air. He does not look streamlined. He looks nothing like a Night Fury in flight. His head is also really far down and makes him look almost like he has a hump, like a bit of a humpback. His head should be streamlined, but I think it might be a little bit too far down and his back is pushed up a little too drastically. But really, it's the legs that just ruin the overall experience. His wings could also have more fluent movements, but I'm not gonna slam too hard on that because that looks acceptable, I think. But the legs is just beyond reasonable. Even back in the day, I had problems with this when he was first made and when I first played with him almost 6 years ago. But now it is just so rough and so terrible to look at that it almost makes you want to not fly with this dragon. Because flying with Toothless, this is what you see. Just these legs hanging dully down, not really doing anything, like he's too limp to drag them up. And they move slightly, making it even more awkward. And it wouldn't be such a big problem if it was fitting with the dragon, but this is a Night Fury, the fastest dragon in the known dragon world, and this is what we're looking at, with just these hanging down legs that is lazy, tired, and it just does not look like Toothless that's flying here. Not at all, not at all. And it's such a shame because Toothless is the fundamental creature in How to Train Your Dragon. He's the mascot, he's the main dragon. Everyone's favorite, and then he has so outdated animations and model, and that's why I think he needs both updated. And if we take a look at the Light Fury, which is a very similar dragon to the Night Fury, she looks stunning. The Light Fury has extraordinary wings that are very closely folded to her body and look amazing when she's in a standing position and a land position. Look at these wings. Look how small they are and how neatly they are tucked in next to her body. And when she flies, her legs are held very close to her body. This is how a Fury Dragon holds its own. This is how it should be flying. She looks way more streamlined, has way more dynamic motions, looks way more alive. And her ears also have an actual 3D texture around. They're like small tufts on her head, which is what they are. She looks very much like the Lightfear we get from the movies. So that's why I know the School Dragons have the capabilities to actually pull this off, because she looks stunning, and she is new. She's from last year, and she is great. And if only Toothless could be a counterpart to this, if we could have this kind of standard for Toothless as well, you would have a power couple like no other for this game. And it would just be extraordinary. And I know that School Dragons might think, okay, if we update the Toothless model and new animations, that's gonna be a lot of resources and we're not really gonna make any money on that. And that might be true that you won't make direct money, but you would make it so much more attractive to get Toothless, because he would actually be looking stunning. And like I said before, then introduce new tails to him and do that during the release, or make new skins for him so that he will have that during the release. So you make it more attractive to get Toothless, so you actually get something out of the release of a new model and animations. I think it will really elevate the game and just bring the spirit back for a lot of players, because Toothless is the main dragon and he needs to be strong in this game as well. That's my 2 cents on the matter, and I felt like I had to address it because a lot of people have been suggesting it as well. I'm suggesting it and I'm hoping that it will happen. This dragon is special to a lot of people, and I know it would mean the world to a lot of players if he got that update. So thank you so much for watching this video, and thank you so much for listening, and hopefully we'll meet again. So long and take care.